right, so I'm up. I'm actually having a great weekend. This is my first weekend that it's my first weekend that I have where it's just me. Where I have an actual full weekend. So far, the new job, I do appreciate that. Um, Not too many red flags. I did have one. Not gonna really mention that. It was a small one that I kind of laid back a little bit. I said, okay, let me kind of be ready just in case this happens. And later on in the day, it seemed to be as not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be. So, just something I worry about when it happens. Drinking my coffee, but I mistakenly thought the Woodward Dream Cruise was this weekend, but it's not. It's August 15th. I thought it was this weekend. Not a big deal because I usually only go over there and I just go over there and ride through it and, just kind of cruise through, see the cars that are there and that kind of thing. So it's not a big deal. It's not really a big deal, going through there or anything, but, I got up, I had, my usual, sausage egg McMuffin with a bowl of oatmeal and a cup of coffee. I actually, to be honest, I actually have another pot of coffee brewing right now, that I'm gonna have that because I'm drinking a cup of coffee right now, but I do have another pot brewing. And just so you know, mine is, my coffee pot is just it's enough to fill up, not the big cups that you can get from like Speedway or anything like that, but I'm partial to the stainless steel tumblers that you see. So mine will fill up one of those. So then you don't have a pot of coffee that you're, just pretty much wasting, So it's probably, I would say it's probably half of what you're usually used to. The pot you see at work. Mine is just a little small pot, and it's just enough to fill up one of those tumblers, which is perfect for me because it's just me. So, and I drink my coffee with creamer, and I use artificial sugar. And I've been doing that for quite a while also. So, because when they diagnosed me with diabetes, then I had to change my whole health plan. So I've been using that for quite some time. And I'm not a health expert, but for me, it's been working pretty good. It hasn't spiked my sugar or anything like that. I can, I'm more worried about the sherbet than I am the artificial sugar. And it has a bad name to it also. Artificial sugar causing cancer and all this other stuff. I mean, you're going to have to die from something. You can be the safest person in the world. You're going to die from something. I had a friend of mine, actually one of my best friends. He taught me a lot. His parents were I think his mother lived till she was like 91. I think his father was probably 94 or something like that. But they lived real healthy and, took really good care of themselves. It ate, prunes in the morning and all kinds of stuff. The mistake that they made was they made a mistake and went to a regular restaurant, which when they ate that food, then they had an issue. At least his father had an issue with digesting that food because his body wasn't used to it. So going back to, if one thing don't kill you, another thing is they ate good their whole life, healthy and everything. One time he ate at a restaurant and he was in the hospital and they kind of threw everything off, and then he unfortunately passed. His mother, Irene, she was a trooper. I mean, she was a trooper. His father was from both of them were from Pennsylvania, and his father was both of them were staples in the community. That they were actually. I have a video about his father, who was around. He was like one of the first people to start a union or something like that. And it's a really good movie. And it's him and a bunch of other guys talking about, when they got into the steel industry and, what obstacles they had to face because they had, I remind you, his mother and father, they were like in the 80s and 90s. So they were born like 1920, around when the Titanic was real big, the Titanic sinking. But surprisingly, she did say that, growing up, they never really talked about it. They never really, it was never a big issue, because if you think about it, back then, we didn't have, you didn't have news being shoved in your face, all day long from every direction. Now you have news being shoved in your face from your TV, from your computer, from anything that has access to the internet. The radio is being shoved in your face. Back then, it wasn't really like that. Taking sips of my coffee. But, back then they had to really be concerned about, putting food on the table. It was, more concerned about, getting employment and making that next move happen. It really wasn't about, politics and seeing what was going on. It was, it was probably a good 99%, family, and which it should be. But, the more things that you introduce to a person's life, each one of those things is a distraction. So you have to kind of remember that. But we'll loop back around. Have my coffee. I'm actually drinking coffee right now. And I had yesterday off. I got off at 2:00. That was definitely good. And when I made some more chili yesterday also. I've been making chili for the last 3 weekends, and I'm kind of getting pretty good at it. I did notice something that I really paid attention to on this particular batch, because this particular batch, I took it and immediately dumped it in Tupperware containers. The last batch, I happened to notice at the last The last time I went and looked in it, and it was moldy in there, because I had kind of left it out for the night or whatever. And it's so moist in there, it's like the perfect spot for mold. So the last little bit I had to toss that out. But this time I, immediately, as soon as I got done cooking it, ate a couple bowls before I went to bed, took it, dumped it in some Tupperware containers and threw it in the refrigerator. So you live and you learn. But besides that, I thought I would get in here and I kind of get on my mic. What else did I want to talk about? My last job, it was through a temp service, and they had called me and left a message saying, hey, I want to talk to you about your attendance. I didn't even answer. I just blocked the number because I guess I feel like I don't owe you anything. When you're ready to lay me off, you don't communicate with me, give me time, give me all this stuff that you want from me when you're about to lay me off. When you're gonna fire me, when I've been late too many times, it's just hey, sorry, and most of the time it's not even that. It's just you laid off, and they walk over to the next employee, So they're kind of acting like, like they want to, have a conversation with me about my attendance. Dude, I left early Tuesday and I haven't been back. What part of I quit don't you understand? And this is not the first time that this has happened. When they gave me my toolbox, it was from another guy. They gave him a toolbox. What happened? He said, I'm good. And they paid $21 an hour. It's an extremely filthy environment. If you can picture a rail car, just picture a rail car in your mind. Now, picture you on your knees under that rail car doing about 95% of your work. You probably thinking, they can pretty much take that job and shove it. So when you finally get somebody in there that's, okay with the environment, then they have to deal with this circus of employees who are upset because the new guy who's only been there 30 days is not doing things at the same capacity as them. They've been there, 5 to 15 years. Whole shop is running back and forth to the boss, telling him he need to hurry up, get a new guy a well test so he can get more hands-on into this stuff and help out and yada, yada, yada. And they're bitching and complaining. Add that on top of the fact that you're only making $21 an hour. Also add the fact that, you only been there a month. There's one guy out of 6 guys that can show up on time, work a full day and a full week consistently. So it's like, who's gonna stay in that environment when they don't have to? And I take pride in the fact that I don't have to be in that environment. And it's real simple. I gave myself a choice. I literally told myself that, hey, you are save up a month of your bills. That gives you a choice right there. It gives you a choice to either continue dealing with a certain situation or to say, you know what, I need to do something else. It gives you a little bit of breathing room. But at the same time, you got to remember that you have to work with it. You can't, be the person that's turning up every weekend. You can't be the person that's you're doing everything that everybody else is doing. No, you have to be the person that people are talking about because you're not doing what they're doing. Because they don't, they're wondering, why are you only working and going home? Why are you this, that, and the other while they're doing all this other stuff? They're looking at you like, what did you do? I went home and chilled. Oh man, don't you ever do anything? I work and I go home, which is none of your business. But when it comes time to get laid off, everybody's scrambling and, expecting, looking for another job and trying to get this figured out and trying to see, how they're gonna, work out these bills. You go home and chill. Why? Because you've created a choice for yourself by saving up a little bit of money. And it's not that much. It just takes 1 month of bills, and once that is gone, you immediately replenish it. Another thing is you create layers. I have that. I have a credit card. I have a personal signature loan that I have, but I'm working on getting that paid back. But I have layers. So you have to be responsible. Also, you have to pay this stuff back. You can't just go blow up your credit card buying whatever and then not pay it back, because that's not going to work. That plan is going to fall apart pretty quick. A lot of people say they don't have a credit card because they don't trust themselves. Yeah, I mean, you have to be responsible. Because not having a credit card because you're not going to pay it back. I mean, that's something that you need to figure out what's going on. That has nothing to do with the credit card. It's not like they're trying to trick you and, give you money and, you're in some trap. If you use it, pay it back. You pay your rent every month. You pay your heating bill every month. You pay your car payment every month. You put gas in your car every month. Pay that money back to your credit card so you have more. You continue to have an option. But that's it for the Narrative Mindset Podcast. I think I'm going to. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for the rest of the day. I'm thinking about going to Lowe's real quick to pick up. I know I gotta get some spray-on glues. I gotta glue these panels back to my door. Oh, you know what? That's what I wanted to talk about too. Well, I'll save that for the next episode. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to comment, be sure to follow this podcast. And the reason I want you to do that is because I want this podcast to grow. I'm definitely going to keep showing up. So this is a podcast that you can depend on. I mean, I have 300 and something odd episodes, so I ain't going nowhere. I post every day, so come join me and join the conversation as to what you would like to discuss, or maybe what you may have, what you may have on your mind. All right, have a good one.